This is Providence Television International, the toast of today's television viewers. Don't be left out.
And this is the morning drive on Providence Television International. We are presently on the newspaper analysis segment. My name is Ugbebo Ikikwa, and once again I will say thanks for always staying tuned. With me in the studio this morning is Dr. Emmanuel Egariba. You're welcome to the studio.
Yes, always a lot to talk about. The newspapers are always carrying stories that people should be interested in. Today's paper should not be an exception, really. So I'm happy to be here once again.
All right, thank you so much. We'll be moving straight to the front page of the Vanguard newspapers, where we have, for the second time in 4 months, distribution companies raise meter prices by 28.3%.
Well, they are raising meter prices. They are not raising supply mode. Yeah, that runs contrary to whatever. And I think it is odd. Because you see, Nigerians are really going through pains. I mean, in terms of electricity supply. We talked about this yesterday, for instance. Yeah. And today, again, we are being told that prices will rise as far as meters are concerned. So Nigerians are battered from all segments. And who is to blame? Of course, the distribution company, they're to blame for this. And I believe that this is the right time for government to even intervene.
Okay.
Because you see, these things cannot be going on without government coming in to say, no, Nigerians are going through a lot at the moment, so you must reduce or whatever. So it is not right. It is not right in whatever guise. So I believe that very soon there will be outrage again. Yeah. And they will now begin to tell us all kinds of stories. So that's where we are. Yes.
Well, but having to get an increase for the second time in 4 months leaves us with once in 2 months.
Yes, once.
So that means in about the next 2 months we might be expected another.
Exactly. Unending, really, in all aspects. I mean, look at PMS, for example. I mean, it's so scandalous. Now we are going into meters. Yes. Incessantly. Yeah. That's not too good. In fact, it's a mockery of governance.
Exactly.
Big mockery.
Well, still on the front page of the Vanguard newspapers. This time around, we're moving to security issues. Gunmen abduct over 100 peasants in Zamfara and a Catholic priest in Imo.
Well, that is far below. Is it above or below the screaming headline? We'll come to that, apparently. But this one you just talked about, in Zamfara.
Yes.
Yes. At two extreme ends, Zamfara and Sokoto.
Yes.
We were talking about that only yesterday. For example. And that is not the best. It's not the best at all, because yesterday we talked about infiltration of people from the Sahel.
Exactly.
Yes. And today it's another story altogether. Meaning that security architecture has to be redesigned in a way that will give the citizens of this country all the assurance they need that, yes, government is on top of the game. We just cannot continue like this, because, I mean, this is slow down businesses.
Exactly.
And they don't even add value to governance anyway. They create mistrust along the line, and that's what it is. Nigerians obviously are not happy about this, particularly for farming. Okay, many of our farmlands in the north have been deserted. Exactly. All because of banditry.
Yes.
That's why there's, a kind of in the supply chain, food shortages in the supply chain, and Nigerians again are the receiving end.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
When it comes to PMS, they are the receiving end. When it comes to tariffs, NEPA tariffs, they are the receiving end. And now again, we're talking about what do you call it now? Meters. Okay. When it comes to banditry, they are also at the receiving end. So the question is, what are Nigerian citizens really enjoying in this country?
Exactly. To buttress your point, when you raise the issue about farmers, let us move to the front page of the Daily Trust. Bandits abduct over 50 people in Zamfara. Place 150 million naira levy on residents and kill 10 farmers in Niger State.
So it's spreading. Sokoto. Sokoto State, yesterday we talked about it, 5 local government areas occupied now in Sokoto State. Today is Zamfara. Alongside Zamfara, we also have Niger State. So it's a sore point. It's a sore point in this country. And I believe that, a lot still needs to be done. To give the people, I keep saying this, to give the people the assurance that all is well. And we're approaching the Christmas season, the Yuletide season, when people will need to travel, okay? In those places in the north, there are Christians. Christians from the south who want to go and visit their families. How are they going to do it? There are people up north who want to come to the south, for instance. And because of these issues of security, everybody's scared, all right? So, but that's not good enough for our psyche. It's not good enough for the development of this country, socio-economic development of this country. And I believe that it has to be tackled really frontally. I have suggested that we should have an emergency declared on the state of security in this country. That will go a long way. Let us forget about other issues. Let us declare a state of emergency on security. All other things will fall into place. What's making our boys and girls go out of this country, for instance? At the first on the table is insecurity. Yeah, people are scared. And in any case, we're approaching Christmas season. A lot of people usually empty into Nigeria from Europe and elsewhere during this period. But they are scared. They don't want to come. And that is money tied up somewhere. Because when they come here, they have to spend their money. But right now, the situation has changed so badly and so dramatically too. So, we hope that the architectural design will change for the better, particularly as we move towards the Yuletide season.
Okay. Well, some individuals have this opinion that since, in quotes, the Nigerian forces are finding it quite difficult to tackle this issue of insecurity, that we should invite mercenaries to assist the security forces. Are you of this opinion?
When countries are in conflict, they usually extend their hands of fellowship to other countries, as it were. Well, the issue of mercenaries, that's a different ballgame. But we can ask countries. That is allowed as far as international relations is concerned. We can ask people to come and support us. The U.S. has been willing, for instance. I don't know, I think their gestures have been turned down many times. The U.S. has been willing, even Israel, they've been quite willing. This is not a time for ethno-religious sentiments at all. There are countries that can handle all these things with ease. So we must extend our hands to them. Because I think that the government is overburdened. Yes, it's overburdened because there's no solution in sight. So do we just continue like this to look at these bandits, ravage the country, ravage the farmlands, ravage our women? No, that is not right. It is not right at all. And I believe that, yes, that's true. We can extend our hands for support, particularly from some Western countries. Okay? I'm fully in support of that.
All right. Talking about the United States of America, still on the front page of the Vanguard newspapers, U.S. poll, be president to all. Kamala Harris charges Trump as Tinubu, Biden, world leaders. Others hail him. And then we'll tie the story to the front page of the Guardian newspapers, where we have U.S. decides. Low expectations, optimism herald Trump's second coming.
Well, one thing is obvious. There was no ballot box snatching.
Yes.
Security forces were kept at bay. Yes, you could not see them on election day. And the election was done on a working day.
Yes.
All right? And there was no, at least for now, and I don't think there will be, falsification of results. Yes. And there has been, some kind of goodwill message from the loser, major loser, that's this wonderful woman, Harris,
Kamala,
the vice president, the sitting vice president. So, what's in between? What's in between is what African countries, developing countries, should be looking forward to. We've just had an election in the U.S.
Yes.
No thuggery, for instance. No arson. Yes, done. And it's been done seamlessly.
Exactly.
Yes. And America, again, has proved that it's a beacon of light when it comes to the democratic processes. Okay? So, but we do think that, yes, there are a few things to also talk about. For instance, we now know that the incoming president is the 47th president of the United States, is the second in the history of the United States to stage a comeback.
Yeah.
And it's a major victory as far as that is concerned. Because actually the first was, maybe we can have the picture there, President Grover Cleveland.
Okay.
He was a Democrat, by the way. He was defeated in 1888 after the first term, but staged a comeback in 1892. That was the very first. And for a long, long time, until Trump, no American president ever staged a comeback. But Trump, with all the idiosyncrasies, with all the discrepancies around him, he managed to win. Meaning that, as I said yesterday, that's Trump over there, meaning that the Americans, maybe they are not quite ready for a female president. I also use the term male chauvinism. Maybe that's what is going around now in the United States, but it's okay. I mean, he has won. The will of the people must prevail. That, I think, is what Kamala Harris is saying. But she also said that you must unite the country. There are many factors. Yeah, that's a wonderful woman there. As far as I'm concerned, she's a woman of the decade, okay? Because she fought a good fight. Brilliant woman. She's a lawyer, by the way. Brilliant woman, very intelligent, quite accessible. See, she was mixing with all kinds of people as she went around the length and breadth of the United States. So she fought a good fight. And I'm not sure, really, and this is the truth, if Joe Biden will have gone quite a long distance against Trump, because he was ailing and good enough, he accepted it. That doesn't happen in developing countries, particularly in African countries. That, again, is the lesson we must learn from this exercise in the United States. Once a leader is ailing, mentally and otherwise, you give room for a much younger person. That's what happens, and that is why, in fact, the Democrats went this far through Harris. Okay, but I think the tactical error they made was not looking for a male contestant. A very viable, possibly more viable than the vice president. So, but that's what it is. I mean, it's all the democratization process. So we are hoping that Trump will further unite the country, divided by so many factors, and he must look into the issue of immigrants. Yes. People have called him a racist. So he must look the way of immigrants, particularly from Africa and maybe from the Caribbean, right, who go into the United States looking for greener pastures. There is the war in the Middle East. He must also look into that, right? Exactly. Even though there are frictions here and there between him and Prime Minister Netanyahu, but there's been some kind of assault on Beirut in Lebanon through the Israeli forces. So he must also look into that and look beyond the two-state solution, which is what is happening in the in the Middle East. So he has that challenge. But he has said that he's not going to look the way of Netanyahu. How that is going to play out, I don't know, because there's no Israeli prime minister who will not look up to the United States for support. That's true. Biden did that, okay, and a lot of presidents before this time, they did that. They always had an alliance with Israel. The reason being that Israel, well, to them, is surrounded by a lot of hostile countries. Iran, Syria, Lebanon, and all of that. So they always felt that, no, we must come to the aid of these people so that they cannot be run over. But in any case, Israel is also telling the whole world that we're up to the game. Yes, look at the way they have ravaged Iran and Lebanon. Okay, so we must watch out for what Trump is going to do in that direction. And he must also be ready to give assistance to poor African countries. Okay. Yes. Even though this is within the purview of Democrats, I'm not too sure now if Republicans are very good at that. As I said yesterday, they have warheads. They're always spoiling for a fight. Remember the case of Reagan, the case of Bush. Exactly. And now another Republican on the saddle. So the White House is ready to receive Trump. In January, they will be swearing in. Yes, he will be going to the White House, and I'm sure that he will drop all those idiosyncrasies that have been so much identified with him. He must come clean now. He shouldn't be too antagonistic and too belligerent. I mean, he was always spoiling for a fight. Right, yes, trying to assert himself. But the world has gone beyond all that, because the United States is no longer the policeman of the world.
Exactly.
Right? They were many years ago, but they are no longer that. You know, even though they have a big armament, there are countries that can give them a good push. You know, North Korea, Russia, and a few others. So, but that's the way it is. We congratulate him, and I understand the president, Nigerian President Bola Tinubu, has also congratulated him, and a lot of world leaders. He's still the leader of the free world, I must say that. Trump, as the president of the U.S., is still the leader of the free world because he's the beacon of democracy that we still look up to. Whether we like it or not, he's still the one. And I hope that this time around there won't be any conflict, people jumping the first into the Congress and all that, which happened during his own time, by the way. And don't forget that he went through the legal process, you know, convicted as it were. That's it. Right? So, but now he has come back. That means the issue of immunity is also there. But he must watch his back and know that the American people, and in fact the people around the world, are also watching him very keenly to make a success out of his second term.
Exactly. Well, wonderful one. Now, well, we'll be going down to the front page of the Punch newspapers. Minors say they were starved, locked up with criminals. Police deny maltreatment as released protesters narrate 3 months ordeal behind bars.
Naturally, I wouldn't want to talk about this because truly it's a sore point. It's a sore point. I mean, looking at those kids being caught when they fell down out of starvation and things like that, it's not something that that should be heard of in the 21st century Nigeria. That was really terrible. It was terrible because, I mean, come to think of it now, they've been set free, discharged on all fronts. And by the way, if they had been found guilty, what was hanging on their neck? Treason.
Exactly.
Yes. How do you even define? I said it here before a long time ago, from my legal background. I said it that what the lawyers, what the counsel were going to speak out against is the issue of treason for the offense they committed. And look at it. They came out to protest. The Constitution supports them by way of protest. And these are kids who are hungry. Hunger, as I said yesterday, knows no boundaries. People came out, and suddenly, these young people were put into custody amongst hardened criminals.
Yes. Psychological torture.
Yes. Hardened criminals. They will have possibly learned 1 or 2 things from those hardened criminals for 3 months. Okay? And the judge in charge of the case ought to have excused himself. Yes. That, no, he couldn't continue with this kind of case. He had the right to do that. I mean, from a judicial point of view, he had the right to do that. But he didn't. And that's why he came under fire, some fireworks. Yes. The police authorities, they also have some part to play. All right? Even the Attorney General, because he was the one that now wrote that, no, this case should be released. Maybe on the order of the president. Good. So, but in all of this, we all went on the path of error. I mean, those authorities that I just mentioned, they went on the path of error. What was Exxon to many people across the world was the fact that these were minors. They were minors. I mean, innocent little kids. Some of them had no parental care as such. You know, their parents did not know where they were. And suddenly they brought them into the courtroom and they were falling right, left, and center. Which means that if they had not even come out that day, they would have passed away in their custody. So it's something that shouldn't happen again. It's just something that we pray should not happen again. To be a big dent to our image in the international circuit. And I believe that, yes, they should be given some kind of compensation. That's what some eminent lawyers have talked about. Yes, we can't detain these young people for so long and you don't compensate them. Particularly now that they have been left off the hook, discharged on all fronts, right? And acquitted on all fronts. So government must be wary of things like this. I also said yesterday, if government wants to avoid situations like this, then there must be good governance. Because if there's good governance, nobody will go to the streets. Nobody. What are you going to look for on the streets? Okay? Policy somersault all the time. You say this today, tomorrow you are saying another thing. That's not good for ethics. It's not good for the administration of the justice system. It's not good. And I believe that it's not even for our national psyche. It's not.
Well, moving to the Nigerian news direct, quite some sad news here. Tinubu, Nigerian Governors Forum, others mourn death of Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja. We'll tie this to the New Telegraph newspapers. Nigeria mourns Lagbaja, third Chief of Army Staff to die in active service.
Well, it was going to be some kind of controversy when the thing was raging about a couple of weeks ago. Some newspapers, online newspapers, for instance, said that the guy had passed away.
Yes,
they said that very clearly, and the presidency denied it, so it was going back and forth. In the process, a new sheriff in town emerged, the acting chief of staff, right? So, but, I mean, Lagbaja was a nice guy, for instance. He was quite a nice guy from the point of view of what the values he represented and things like that. You remember what he said when the Edo election was around the corner? This same Lagbaja, he said, look, let there be peace and all of that. Apparently, I think personally he was against violence and incursions by the military. He said it. And I remember very clearly. This same Lagbaja who just passed on. All right, so we, on our part, on this station, we condole the family. We pray that the Almighty Father will rest him perfectly in his bosom, and that through him a lot of wrongs will be put right, whatever those wrongs have been. So that's my take on that.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, with this, we've come to the end of the newspaper analysis for today, the 7th of November, 2024. But as usual, the chairman CEO, Providence Television International, will definitely have a parting shot.
Well, thank you for that. You always remind me of it. Parting shot, yes, why not? I want to talk about the dry season is coming now, by the way. Yes. We have a lot of abuses on the ecosystem. For instance, when the Harmattan season comes, there's going to be a lot of bush burning, which is illegal in itself. And this is, they do a few things. If you burn bush regularly the way we do, you are destroying the ecosystem, the nutrients. Yes, I speak like this because I'm an advocate of environmental protection. So I did that in my final year in law. That was my work, the protection of the ecosystem. All right. So, but we must begin now to sensitize our people. Don't burn bushes unnecessarily. You destroy the nutrients. Okay. Not just that. We have smoke. You have emissions. Sometimes they cover the road for up to 2 or 3 kilometers, and that becomes dangerous for motorists, right? So we shouldn't. And again, in areas where people live with this kind of problem, people who have asthma, yes, they become endangered. So we must watch these things very carefully. And I plead that the Ministry of Agriculture should up their game. They should now begin to, because the Harmattan season will come, by the way, they should now begin to tutor people, particularly local farmers. They just said, and in any case, sometimes when they set fire on these bushes, they also burn other economic trees alongside, down into kilometers. They just burn them down. That's not good enough. There are ways to do these things without creating upheavals in the ecosystem. So I believe that, yes, we must look at this very seriously. And as I also said yesterday, please let us learn to drive carefully, particularly at this period, as we move towards the Yuletide.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Well, on this note, I'll once again say thank you so much for staying tuned. Please make it a point of duty to tell your friends, family, in fact, your associates, tell everybody about Providence Television International, the game changer. And it's so simple to reach us. Go to YouTube and just simply type in Providence Television International, and you get all our programs. And so you really have nothing to miss out. Well, on this note, once again, thanks for watching. Please stay tuned.